Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Just found out about this subreddit and had to share the story. The initial reason for the revenge happened in 2013, but the revenge only happened in 2017. I'll keep everything vague so as not to be recognized. For context, back in 2013, I was a graduate student pursuing my master's degree. That was my last year in the program. We had 24 months to finish all the work and a dissertation. My advisor was a professor who was very well known and experienced in my field of work. Let's call her Janet. Fake name. Janet and I had worked together with research since my college days, as I became part of an undergraduate research with her. At that point, we had been working for about 4 years, and as any advisor-student relationship, we more had our disagreements quite often. Janet was used to doing her experiments a certain archaic way. I knew there were better uses of our grant money and always tried to push toward a more advanced method, especially correlating data collection and statistics. However, our relationship was always good. I knew her husband and had been to her house numerous times. She was a little set on her ways, but we managed to make good progress on our field. Anyhow, by the end of 2013, I presented my dissertation to the department and was approved with flying colors. My data still wasn't published in any paper, as I wanted to have more analysis in different areas to make a more robust and better paper. With that said, my dissertation was published, and for all reasons, that is my work and my experiments. After I got my MS, I decided to pursue a PhD. While I was still going to work in the same field, I wanted to use different techniques and thus talked with Janet about going to pursue a PhD under a different professor in another university. She always encouraged me to do better and look for ways to diversify my views. I went ahead and contacted a professor outside of my country in another university to pursue my PhD. I got approved and soon moved away. For the next 2 years, I still kept contact with Janet, but on the third, she stopped responding. Initially, I thought she had changed her email or something, but didn't think much of it. Time flew by, and in 2017, while reading papers and writing my own, I came across a paper that was strangely similar to my research. Interested in it, I opened it up to read. And to my shock, it was a paper by my ex-advisor. She was up as advisor, and another guy who from his curriculum is her current master's student. Reading the title, I thought, hey, that's neat. She continued researching it. But boy, was I wrong. Reading the paper, I got increasingly angry. That wasn't new research, it was my research. My data was all in that paper, even my graphs and tables. Initially, I thought, oh well, she's also an author and she's citing it. There shouldn't be a problem. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. My name was nowhere near that paper, as they claimed that research as original. Now I was livid. I sent an email to Janet confronting her, which was never replied to. However, I'm not a pushover and will never allow people to claim my own work as theirs. She made a mistake by using my data. I'm a researcher and I keep everything I ever worked on saved in external SSD, encrypted and in my own possession. All cataloged with date entries, and even had my own dissertation to prove my work. In my country, research is financed by governmental grants. I wrote an email to the dean of the grants institution explaining all the situations, with proof of everything. I also sent an email to a journal in which that was published contesting their paper and explaining everything. It didn't take longer than 15 days for me to get a follow-up. The institution responsible for the grant was furious. They cut all financial aid for her and her student, and made a formal requirement to the university requesting her immediate termination. The journal retracted the paper and is now suing her for plagiarism. Now, after all these years, I learned that she was indeed fired and hasn't been able to work in the field ever since. I never met her again and have no intention of ever doing so. Now, my work is published and I'm recognized by my contributions in the field. Maybe that was a pity thing to do, but I couldn't allow people to get away with claiming my work as theirs. Edit. Wow, didn't expect so many replies. Thank you for the words. A few things. The only reason I said it was pity is because she's also an author. She has a right to publish it. But she needed to include me on a paper, which she didn't do. Also, there are laws in place in my country that allow the journal to sue her. That's not an international journal. That's why that happened. I work with medical research for those that asked, but I can't share the paper as that would easily identify me. Another thing, people have been questioning my terms. In my country, a master's candidate needs to present a dissertation and the PhD candidate needs to present a thesis. Sorry if I wasn't clear enough. Cheers. I was at the local supermarket grabbing some groceries. I was trying to decide between almond milk and regular milk when suddenly I heard a commotion near the checkout lines. It was loud enough to distract everyone in the store. I walked over and saw this woman. Let's call her Karen because, well, you know. Karen was in her mid-40s with that signature "I want to speak to the manager" haircut. She was berating a young guy, probably in his early 20s, over something trivial. From what I could gather, the guy accidentally bumped into her cart and she lost it. "I demand you apologize this instant. You've ruined my shopping experience." Karen shrieked, her face red with anger. The young guy, clearly embarrassed and uncomfortable, tried to apologize. "I'm really sorry, ma'am. It was just an accident." But Karen wasn't having any of it. She kept going, her voice getting louder and more aggressive. She then started slapping the guy's arms repeatedly. Then out of nowhere, one of the store employees stepped in. This guy was huge, like a wrestler, with muscles that looked like they could bench press a car. He walked up to Karen with a calm but firm demeanor. "Ma'am, I need you to calm down and leave the store," he said in a deep, authoritative voice. Karen, in her rage, didn't back down. "How dare you speak to me like that? I'm a customer, and I deserve to be treated with respect." The employee, maintaining his cool, repeated, "Please calm down and leave." That's when things went from bad to worse. Karen, in a fit of rage, tried to hit the young guy. It was like something snapped in her. But before her hand could even reach him, the employee, let's call him Big Mike, grabbed her arm in a move straight out of WWE. It was so fast, so smooth, it was almost choreographed. Big Mike had Karen's arm twisted behind her back, and with his other arm he lifted her off the ground. The whole store was watching in shock. Karen was kicking and screaming, "Let me go, you can't do this to me," but Big Mike was unfazed. He carried her out of the store, still in that WWE hold, as she continued to throw a tantrum. It was surreal, like watching a live-action drama unfold. Once they were outside, Big Mike set her down, but didn't let go of her arm. And that's when the police arrived. Apparently, someone had called them during this mess. They handcuffed Karen, who was still screaming and ranting, and took her away, and the store convinced the guy of pressing charges for assault and that they will provide the CCTV needed. The young guy thanked Big Mike, who just nodded and went back to his duties like nothing had happened. That was such an interesting afternoon. I, 27 female, have been married to my husband, male, 32, for 3 years and have been dating for a little over 5. My husband has this friend, female, 31, Mary. They have known each other since they were in high school and she's considered one of the boys, if you may. That basically means she's always invited to all the fishing trips and stuff, which I don't mind at all. I trust my husband. Well, my problems with Mary started when she first found out I'm half Romanian. It started kinda innocently with her asking me to say certain words, teach her some insults and so on, which didn't necessarily bother me, but it usually put me on a spot whenever we were out with my husband's group of friends. It only escalated to her googling stuff about Romania and asking me, "Are you a vampire? Do you bite people by the neck?" to, "Are you a gypsy? I bet you've got some of that gypsy blood in you," which is just blatantly racist. Last week, me and my husband organized a mini barbecue with our friends and Mary was invited by my husband, despite me telling him she makes me uncomfortable. He said he had talked to her about her remarks and she's been understanding, so it's unlikely she'll say something this time. It was midnight and there were about 4 of us left and I accidentally spilled some red wine on Mary's jeans when I tripped over a carpet, and all hell broke loose. Mary started saying that I'm a witch and I'm trying to ruin her life and this whole thing is part of my ritual and that I'm just an immigrant gypsy trying to ruin my husband's life and that I've poisoned my husband against her and so on. I started crying and profusely apologized. When she wouldn't drop it, I kicked her out and banned her from ever coming to my house again. Am I the jerk for doing this? My husband insists that Mary was just drunk and talking nonsense and he would talk to her. He also told me I'm way too sensitive about my heritage and that I'm a jerk for banning her. Mary has since given me a half-hearted apology, but I'm still not okay with her. And now some comments on the post. Someone saying, "You're not the jerk. I think your husband needs to re-evaluate the fact that he befriends with someone that's so disrespectful to his own wife." Another commenter adds, "Not the jerk. You need couples counseling. This one is clearly xenophobic." And I see hints of jealousy as well. Your husband seems to be in the "don't rock the boat" phase, where he just excuses every hateful and bizarre thing she says to you. Also, alcohol lowers a person's inhibitions and they will be more truthful. So when she jumped down your throat about you being a vampire, which makes me question her mental health, she was saying what she has been thinking the whole time. I read your other comment as well where she calls you a derogatory term in your language, and I think she knows exactly what it means in Romanian, as she always pestered you about teaching her Romanian curse words. She knows what she's doing. You had every right to throw this woman out of your house and prohibit her from entering it again. What worries me is your husband's reaction to it. He needs to get it through his skull that you are his wife. And her being a friend since they were teens doesn't give her leeway to constantly insult you. It's not a joke if you're their constant butt, especially if those jokes are actually disguised insults. A third commenter goes with, "Not the jerk. She's so racist and kind of has a weird obsession with your husband. You don't deserve that negativity." Update from OP. I guess this is the update some of you wanted. Sorry, I'm still a mess and I don't know how coherent I am. We've talked and he admitted to being in and out of an affair with Mary in the first 2 years of our relationship, and she wanted to win him back, I guess. I called my mom to come help me pack some stuff and I'm out. That's it. Mary can have him. I've been gaslit for years and it took a Reddit post to realize. Oh, the irony. Thank you, Reddit. Also, a lot of people seemed suspicious of Mary and my husband's friendship/relationship and so on, and have asked if I ever suspected anything. No, I didn't. Me and my husband had, or I thought we had, a very strong relationship based on communication and honesty. Guess it only applied to me. Also, Mary is very close with all the boys in a said friendship group. The other wives raised concerns in the past, but they have all been shut down by the boys in the group or by Mary herself. I guess I always respected their friendship group because they were very close for so long, and it felt unfair to change that because of me. As far as I'm aware, the other wives feel the same. Plus, Mary has been in a long-distance relationship for about 2 years and always claimed she's focusing on her career. She's too busy and so on, so none of us ever saw her as a potential threat. But now it makes me think there could be more to the story, but I'm just tired. As of right now, I'm just exhausted. My Romanian witch blood won't let me live until I found out the whole truth, but I just need time. Thank you to everyone who took the time to reply to my post or message me, even the ones that insulted me further. It was semi-funny. I'm not sure if this belongs here, but I think it fits. I was compliant and did what I was supposed to when there was a person hoping that I wouldn't or couldn't. And I did it just to get back at him. For this story, a backstory for context is necessary. Years ago, I worked as a server at a popular bar/restaurant. One day a couple came in. I honestly thought it was a man and his 14-year-old daughter. But I digress. To eat. And I served them and all went well. As they were leaving, the man told me he was a manager at another popular bar/restaurant in the area and he thought my service was great and offered me a job. I liked my job a lot and made a decent money, but wanted to pick up more shifts during the week and wanted to be a bartender. Already financially secure and figuring I had nothing to lose, I told him that I liked my job, didn't want to quit, and would be interested in picking up day shifts as a bartender. He counters that if I worked for him, he wouldn't want me to have another job as he would prefer to be my priority. I tell him I need to make X amount of dollars for rent and so on, and couldn't leave my job unless I was guaranteed to make the same amount or more. He vaguely says, "I think you'll find you'll be very well compensated." So I didn't quit, but I just did pursue picking up extra shifts at his restaurant. He wanted me to start as a busser. When asked why, he said because it was the most difficult job, and if I could handle that, then I could do anything. Okay, doesn't make sense to me, but sure. Well, 3 weeks into bussing tables, I realized that I was never getting a bartending job there, or even a server's position. Their servers had worked for years waiting for a bar shift, and the hostess finally got one server shift after hosting for 2 years. This man lied to me and actually tried to deceive me into quitting my job that paid my rent so I could clear tables for $50 a night. Once I realized this, I quit without notice and he was forced to buzz the tables at night. Later on, he sent me angry text messages about how I was right. He never intended to give me a serving or bartending job because I was the worst server he had ever experienced and that I should leave the industry because I was just terrible at it and so on. This is a guy who tried to recruit me based on my service to his table when I had no idea he worked in the industry. Well, whatever, glad I kept my job, life went on. A couple of years later, I'm still working at the same place I was. It's late on a slow night, it's just me and another kid working. Because it was so slow, he had gotten drunk and was playing pool, and it was basically just me working. This was fine by me because he never asked to split tips evenly when he knew he didn't work as much. So I was making more money. Suddenly, shortly before the kitchen closes, a part of 22 people comes in. They are a local theater group coming in for a meal and some drinks. And guess who is a part of their larger group? The jerk manager from the other restaurant. He recognized me and smirks at me smugly. Seeing all these people come in, my coworker gets out the pool table to come help me. I tell him no, I got this. I want to do this one all on my own. I'm going to be the best server this table of 22 people has ever had. I also had 3 other regular tables as well. I put a bunch of tables and chairs together and got started. Now, large groups of people can be difficult, especially large groups of broken artistic types like these theater folk. They usually want separate checks and don't want to split the bill evenly. They will review their check and make sure you didn't make any mistakes when divvying up the order. Often you might bring the right appetizer to the wrong person, forgot who wanted the lemon, was there water and who didn't, and so on. The kitchen might even make a mistake. I will not make a single mistake, not even a small one. I stayed on top of the kitchen staff to make sure they didn't either. I usually didn't need a pad to write orders, but with this table, I actually drew a chart with little circles for each seat where I kept track of every appetizer, meal and drink ordered for each seat. I made sure I was attentive to everyone, refilled water when necessary, basically did my job but made sure I did it very well and still handled my other 3 tables. And I was polite and cheerful. Oh my god, I was so polite and cheerful. Especially to the jerk. I knew he wanted me to screw up. He wanted the satisfaction of me making a mistake or many mistakes and being overwhelmed by his 21 friends complaining. While he kept smirking at me smugly, silently saying, I told you, you're terrible at this. But I did not allow that to happen. When all was said and done, I pulled it off. Towards the end, they tried to surprise me with a "we need separate checks" statement for 22 people. You should really state this at the beginning. But I was not bamboozled. I have been keeping track of their individual orders the whole time. They all reviewed their checks, no one had a single complaint. I made 0 mistakes. One by one, they all left, only one person stayed behind. It was a jerk. He waited until his friends left and he said to me, I just wanted to tell you, that was great service. It was all the apology and acknowledgement that he knew he was a jerk that I could want. And I was satisfied. I smiled and politely said, thank you.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.